Welcome to the course Cleaner Technology with a focus on Life Cycle Assessment or LCE. My name is Aulia Ufafaradiba from Department of Environmental Engineering, Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Jawa Timur, Indonesia. In this course, we will learn both the conceptual and technical aspect of life cycle assessment, while LCA is a systematic method used to evaluate environmental impacts throughout the entire life cycle of a product, process, or system. In this course, we will discuss how to define the goal and scope of an LCA study, determine the functional unit, boundaries, scope, life cycle inventory data, including input, energy use, emission, and waste generation. I hope this course can provide a strong foundation for applying LCA in research, industrial, and sustainable development practices. In this section, we will discuss two important stages in life cycle assessment, namely goal and scope definition and life cycle inventory. The most important standards in LCA is ISO 40040 and ISO 40044. And these standards are often called the foundation or the mother of all LCA standards because they provide the main framework and guidance for conducting an LCA study. And ISO 40040 explains the general principle framework of LCA. It introduced the main concept, phases, and overall structure of an LCA study. Meanwhile, in ISO 40044 provides more detailed requirements and technical guidelines. This includes instruction for defining system boundaries, collecting inventory data, conducting impact assessment, and interpreting results. And these standards ensure that LCA studies are conducted in a systematic, transparent, consistent, and scientifically credible way. In this slide, we answer the fundamental question, what is life cycle assessment or LCE? LCA is a method used to evaluate the environmental impacts of a product system throughout its entire life cycle. This means LCA looks at all stages of a product's journey, from raw material extraction to the final disposal. And the purpose of LCA is to identify where the most significant environmental impacts occur and to support better environmental decision making. And the diagram shown illustrates the circular life cycle approach that environmental impacts can occur at every stage of the system. LCA evaluating all of these stages together. LCA helps us understand where the most significant environmental impacts occur and where improvements can be made for a more sustainable system. So we have to consider all of the stages. In this slide, we see an overview of the four main stages of the LCA framework. The first stage is goal and scope definition. In this step, we define the purpose of the study, the system boundaries, assumption, and the functional unit that will be used as the basis for comparison. The second stage is life cycle inventory analysis or LCI. Here we collect and quantify all relevant inputs and outputs such as raw materials, energy consumption, emissions, wastewater, and solid waste. The third stage is impact assessment. In this phase, the inventory data are translated into environmental impacts such as climate change, acidification, eutrophication, or other human health effects. And the fourth stage is interpretation. This stage involves analyzing the results, identifying the key environmental hotspots, and drawing conclusion or recommendation for improvement. And all these stages are interconnected and may be repeated during the study to improve data quality and ensure reliable research. So we go to the first step of the LCA, define the goal and scope. The goal and scope definition states explain why the study is being conducted, what system will be analyzed, and how the results will be used. At this stage, we also determine important elements such as functional unit, system boundaries, assumption, and data requirement. After the goal and scope are clearly defined, the study continues to the life cycle inventory analysis or LCI stage. And in this phase, all relevant input-output data are collected and quantified. This includes material, energy, consumption, wastewater, and others. The goal statement explains the main purpose of the conducting LCA study and identifies the intended audience who will use the results. In other words, we need to clearly answer several important questions. Why is the study being conducted? How will the results be used? And what are the targets or objectives of the assessment? For example, an LCA study may be conducted to compare products, improve manufacturing process, support environmental policy, or identify opportunities for reducing emissions and resource consumption. Without a clear goal, the study may become inconsistent or produce results that are difficult to interpret and apply. The scope explains the boundaries and technical details of the LCA. It ensures that the study is carried out in a clear, consistent, and valid way. Several important factors must be clearly defined in the scope. The first one is we need to determine the system function to be analyzed. This means identifying what the product or system is intended to do. And the second, we define the functional unit, which becomes the basis for comparison in the study. For example, the production of 1 kilogram of sugar or 1 kilowatt hour of electricity. Next, we establish the system boundaries, which determine which processes are included or excluded in the assessment. We also identify the environmental impact categories and the impact assessment methods that will be used. In addition, the scope should include some information about data quality requirements such as accuracy, completeness, and reliability of the collected data. In LCA, products cannot always be compared directly because different products may have different design, size, or performance characteristics. Instead of comparing the products themselves, we compare the function they provide. And for example, in this slide, we compare the paper towels and hand dryers. Even though they are different products, both have the same function, which is to dry hands. To make the comparison fair and consistent, we define a functional unit. A functional unit is a quantified description of a product's function. In this example, the functional unit could be defined as X pairs of dry hands. This means the comparison is based on how effectively each system performs the same function. After defining the functional unit, we determine the reference flow, which is the amount of product or material needed to fulfill that function. For instance, the reference flow may include the number of paper towel used or the amount of the electricity consumed by the hand dryer to dry the same number of hands. System boundaries define which process and activities are included in the LCA study and which are excluded. And setting clear boundaries is very important because it determines the scope of the analysis or directly affects the final results. The diagram shown illustrated the typical life cycle system starting from fiber procurement, followed by pulp and paper production, manufacturing, product use, and finally end-of-life management. And one important question in LCE: what boundaries should be considered with the natural environment? For example, in an LCA study of paper products, we need to decide whether activities such as tree planting and forest management are included in the system. If these processes are included, then environmental aspects such as carbon dioxide sequestration, land use, biodiversity, and resource consumption can also be evaluated. This example shows that system boundaries are not only technical decisions, but also scientific and methodological choices that influence how environmental impacts are interpreted. The diagram shows the different stages in product life cycle, starting from raw materials, followed by product manufacturing, distribution and retail, consumer use, and finally disposal. In LCA study, we must decide which stages will be included in the analysis. The selected area is called the system boundary. In this example, the red dash box highlights the gate-to-gate approach, which means a gate-to-gate study focuses only on a specific part of the production system, usually within one manufacturing process or facility. This means the assessment starts when materials enter the production facility and ends when the product leaves the facility. And gate-to-gate studies are commonly used when companies want to evaluate the environmental performance of a single process, improve production efficiency, or reduce emission within a factory system. Compared to full life cycle study like cradle to grave, gate-to-gate assessments are usually simpler, require less data, and are easier to conduct. However, they provide a more limited environmental perspective because they do not evaluate the entire product of the life cycle. In the cradle-to-gate approach, the system boundary includes processes starting from the extraction of raw materials up to the point where the product leaves the manufacturing facility or the factory gate. This means the assessment includes activities such as resource extraction, material processing, transportation of raw materials, and manufacturing operation. However, stages after production such as distribution, product use, and final disposal are not included in the study. For example, companies may use this approach to calculate the carbon footprint of cement, steel, plastics, or food products during production stages. Compared with the gate-to-gate analysis, cradle-to-gate provides a broader environmental perspective because it includes upstream processes related to raw material acquisition. However, it still does not capture the impacts during product use and end-of-life management. The diagram shows the full cycle starting from raw materials, followed by product manufacturing, distribution and retail, consumer use, and finally disposal or recovery. However, in the cradle-to-cradle concept, Disposal is not considered the final endpoint. Instead, waste materials are treated as valuable resources that can return to the production cycle. This approach supports the principle of the circular economy, where products are designed to minimize waste and minimize material recovery. And cradle-to-cradle system aim to create more sustainable production and consumption patterns by reducing waste generation, conserving resources, and improving environmental efficiency. Compared to other system boundaries, cradle-to-cradle provides a more comprehensive sustainability perspective because it considers the continuous recirculation of materials within the economy. In LCA, data collection is one of the most important steps because the quality of the data strongly affects the reliability of the results. Generally, LCA data can be divided into two main categories: primary data and secondary data. Primary data are collected directly from the actual process or production site. Examples include measurement of energy consumption, raw material use, water usage, emission, and waste generated from a factory or facility. Because primary data come directly from the real system being studied, they are usually considered more accurate and representative. On the other hand, secondary data are obtained from published references, scientific literature, database, industry reports, or previous studies. And secondary data are commonly used when direct measurement are not available or when collecting primary data is too difficult, expensive, or time-consuming. And according to ISO standards, primary data strongly recommended for processes that significantly contribute to mass flows, energy use, or environmental emission. Therefore, selecting appropriate high-quality data is essential for producing a credible and scientifically reliable of LCA study. According to LCA guidelines, data quality requirements should be defined based on several important parameters. The first is time coverage. This refers to the time period represented by the data. For example, whether the data are recent, outdated, seasonal, or collected over several years. And the second is technology coverage. This means the data should represent the actual technology or production process being studied. And different technologies may produce very different environmental impacts. The third is geographic coverage, when data should reflect the correct geographic location or regional condition because energy sources, transportation system, environmental regulation, and resource availability may vary between countries and regions. Several important criteria are commonly used to evaluate data quality. The first is precision, which refers to how accurate and detailed the data are, and high precision means the data closely represents real conditions. The second is reproducibility. This means the study should produce similar results if the same methods and data are used by other researchers or practitioners. The third is completeness. The data should cover all important input outputs and environmental flows needed for the assessment. Another important aspect is consistency. All calculation, assumption, methods, and system boundaries should be applied consistently throughout the study. And finally, we have representatives. The data should accurately represent the actual technology, geographic location, and time period of the system being analyzed. Allocation becomes important when one process produces more than one product or output. In this situation, the environmental impacts of the process must be divided among the different outputs. According to ISO, the first recommendation is to avoid allocation whenever possible. This can be done by subdividing the process into separate processes so that each process has only one specific output. However, if allocation cannot be avoided, environmental loads should be distributed based on physical relationships such as mass, energy, or material flow. So in this slide, we have study case. The example focus on assessing the environmental impacts of printing paper produced and used in Portugal. The system begins with the forest resources, including eucalyptus and softwood forests, followed by pulp production and paper manufacturing processes. After production, the paper is distributed and used by consumers. At the end of its life cycle, the paper may follow several waste management pathways, such as composting, landfilling, and recycling. The diagram also shows supporting systems that contribute to the life cycle, including chemical production, electricity generation, transportation, and other related processes. And all of these activities are included within the system boundaries of the study. And in the goals definition stage, the purpose of the study is clearly stated: to identify and evaluate the environmental impact associated with the production, use, and final disposal of printing paper. Meanwhile, the scope defines which process, material, and activities are included in the assessment. So, we define the functional unit, which is one of the most important elements in LCE. And for this example, the functional unit is defined as 1 ton of white printing paper with a standard weight of 80 grams per square meter, produced from Portuguese eucalyptus kraft pulp and consumed in Portugal. This functional unit provides a clear and measurable basis for the environmental assessment and allows fair comparisons with other systems or products. And we have to define the environmental impact categories in this study. The first is global warming potential, which measures contributions of the climate change through greenhouse gas emissions. The second is acidification, which leads to emission that can cause acid rain and damage ecosystem. The third is eutrophication, and another category is photochemical oxidation with smoke formation and air pollution. And the study also evaluates the stratospheric ozone depletion, which relates to substances that can damage the ozone layer. At the LCI stage, we collect, quantify, and organize all relevant data related to the inputs and outputs of a product system throughout its life cycle. Inputs may include raw materials, energy, water, chemical, and natural resources used during the process. Outputs may include products, emission to air, wastewater, solid waste, and other environmental releases. The picture shows the systematic step used to collect, validate, and organize data for LCA study. The process begins with goal and scope definition. After that, the data collection, where input and output data are gathered from measurement, database, literature, or industrial sources. And we have to validate the data to ensure accuracy, consistency, and completeness. And after that, we connected the inventory data goes to a functional unit, ensuring that all calculations are based on the same reference basis. In some cases, allocation and recycling procedures must also be considered during data processing. Afterward, the data are aggregated to form the overall inventory results of the system. To properly analyze the system, both quantitative and qualitative data are needed. Quantitative data are numerical data that can be measured or calculated. These include raw material consumption, energy use, chemical use, water consumption, and environmental emission. These data are important because they are used directly in inventory calculation and impact assessment. In addition to quantitative data, LCA studies also require qualitative data. Qualitative information may include process description, geographic location, and time coverage or data age. Reliable data sources are very important because the quality of the inventory data strongly affects the accuracy of the final LCA results. And one of the best sources information is direct measurement, also known as primary data. But another resource that you can use, like published literature and scientific studies, or other industrial and government reports, other industrial associations can provide sector-specific data. Another possible source is private consultants who may develop environmental database, technical reports, or specialized assessment studies. For defined inventory analysis, refining system boundaries, this process receives inputs and produce outputs that interact with both the environment and other processes. The first type is elementary flow as inputs. These are resources taken directly from nature, such as water, crude oil, coal, minerals, or natural gas. The second is intermediate flows. These are materials, energy, or chemicals exchanged between processes within the system. Example like diesel fuel, electricity, sodium hydroxide, or raw materials used during production. The process also generates elementary flow as outputs, like emission to air, water, or soil such as carbon dioxide, methane, or solid waste. And finally, we have the references flow, which represents the amount of products or services generated by the system to fulfill the functional unit. Here, the example of the overview of system boundaries. With the first R is intermediate flow, which include materials, energy, and chemicals required during the process, like sodium hydroxide, diesel fuel, raw materials. And the second is elementary flows as inputs, such as water, crude oil, coal, and other natural resources. And the system apparatus is also generates different types of output, shown on the right side of the diagram, include elementary flows to the environment, such emission, release to the into ecosystem, to the air, to the into the water, like chemical oxygen demand and other contaminant. The system may also create other environmental interventions such as heat, radiation, or noise. In life cycle assessment, there is no single mandatory calculation method for all studies. However, calculation must follow the requirements and methodological rules defined in the study, especially those related to allocation procedures and system boundaries. And during inventory stage, researchers calculate all relevant materials flows like energy use, emission, and waste associated with the product system. To support this calculation, various tools and software can be used. Simple LCA studies may use spreadsheet applications such as Microsoft Excel for organized data, performing calculation, and analyzing inventory results. But for more complex studies, specialized LCA software programs are commonly used. These software tools are specifically designed to handle large database, impact calculation, and environmental modeling. In commonly used LCA software includes SEMA-Pro, Gabi, OpenLCA, and other environmental assessment platforms. This is example of life cycle inventory analysis for the recycled paper production from wood waste. The process includes two main stages, like crushing and sieving. During crushing, wood waste and electricity are used as inputs to produce crushed wood and small amounts of residue. Next, the crushed wood enters the sieving process to produce sieved wood material along with additional residue, and the table summarizes the input and output at each stage, including material, electricity consumption, useful products, and waste generated. So the process begins with hydrolysis, where wood, sulfuric acid, and electricity are used to break down the materials, produce hydrolyzed wood, chemical solution, and vapor emission. And the next step is the lignification stage, where sodium hydroxide and electricity are added to remove lignin from the wood fibers. And finally, the material enters the paper making process, which uses pulp, water, energy, and chemicals to produce paper. This is the complete list for life cycle of wood waste produced paper. We can see that we have to measure all of the input and the output and make sure this data is verified and accountable to take to the next stage of the LCA.